BM Oplot is the latest and the best Ukrainian main battle tank. It features many improvements over the other Ukrainian tanks. So why have we not seen a single one being used in this war so far? And why is even the footage of its predecessor, the T-84, so rare, with the footage mostly being it just moving around in the fields and firing at something we can't actually see? When analyzing this kind of stuff, it is important to get the correct information and not believe everything you read online. That's why I'm proud to present today's sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that lets you see how breaking news is covered across the political spectrum in one place. With just a swipe or a click, you can quickly compare articles from thousands of publications around the world and see the ownership and factuality of those sources. Ground News aims to shine a light on media bias and hold media accountable, as well as encourage readers to think freely by adding context and transparency to every news story. It compiles all the world's media stories in one place and shows where the biases lie in each article. Let's take the story about the UK sending the EU projectiles to Ukraine as an example. I can check which side of the political spectrum covers the story more, as well as compare how each side words the story. I can even follow specific locations or topics, like the Ukrainian war, for example. One of the things I like the most about Ground News is that it also shows blind spots, which are the news stories disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. You can try Ground News yourself. Simply go to ground.news/redeffect and sign up today. Let's start with the T-84. There have been a decent amount of videos and pictures of the tank since the war started, most of them claiming to be at the front line, but there is absolutely nothing to indicate that that was the case. In some of the videos, the soldiers are not even wearing protective equipment, which definitely means that the footage was taken away from the actual front line. Now, does this mean that the T-84 has not seen any combat at all? Well, obviously not. It is hard to confirm if the tanks are actually being used on the front line or not, since the actual combat footage or any geolocatable pictures or videos of them don't really exist. But there is a Russian video which allegedly shows a T-84 tank getting hit by a Lancet drone. The quality of the video is very low, but there are some features of the tank that do make it seem like it actually could be a T-84. The rubber side skirts cover a very big portion of the wheels, which is not a thing for any other Ukrainian tank. The exhaust on the back and the flat cover on the engine deck definitely indicates that this is not any T-72 tank, and looks very similar to the exhaust of the T-84, since it is so visibly protruding from the tank's hull. Also, the wheel size and visual spacing between the two wheels eliminates any T-64 variant. There is also a visible cut on the tank's rear, which is only present on the T-84 tanks. Large side skirts could be a thing on captured T-80 BVM tanks, but those have a very distinctive shape with holes, not to mention that the tank does not have any other features that would point to it being the T-80 BVM. This tank also appears to have a very long extension on the turret's back, which is also a thing for T-84s, since the tank has an open storage for the crew to put some stuff in. Not to mention that there are no visible fording tubes on the back of the turret, which is pretty common for any other tank. So all things considered, I can say with pretty big certainty that this is a T-84 tank. That means that at least one T-84 was probably used in combat, or was at least close to the front line. But I don't believe it was actually destroyed. The drone appears to have struck the front of the tank, doing very little to no damage, and the fact that we have never seen any pictures of destroyed or abandoned T-84s indicates that this tank was still functional or was at least recovered by the Ukrainians. So the T-84 might not be used extensively in this war, but there is at least some evidence to show its use. The reason why they are not being used more often is because Ukraine has very few of them. According to the Military Balance 2022, only 5 of them were in active service prior to the start of the war, and their actual availability could be even lower. But in all honesty, this tank's combat capabilities are nothing special. The only real advantage it has over the other tanks is reverse speed, but it lacks any thermal imager and offers nothing really notable to the table, aside from improved protection and the better reverse speed. Another probable reason why Ukraine does not want to use these tanks more often is because they can be upgraded to a much better BM Oplot tank, which takes us to the next part of the video. Where are the BM Oplot tanks? Since the start of the war, not a single one has been seen anywhere near the front line, nor has there been any videos from the Ukrainian side even driving them around in the fields like the T-84s. There has been one video where BM Oplot can be seen in a garage, together with a single prototype of the T-84 120 Yatagan tank. But this is obviously far away from any combat. Another video shows two BM Oplot tanks with a T-64 BM in between them. These are probably the very two BM Oplots that Ukraine has, which were also driven on a parade a year prior to the Russian invasion, where one of them broke down. BM Oplots would actually bring something to the table when it comes to the combat capabilities. Unlike the regular T-84, BM Oplot features thermal images for both gunner and commander, new duplet ERA which drastically increases the tank's protection, on top of the already great reverse speed. But unlike what some people believe, neither T-84 nor BM Oplot feature any improvements to the safety. They still retain the old T-64 style autoloader and can pop a turret like any other tank in this war so far. But I doubt Ukraine will use either of the two tanks in actual combat. There are two reasons. They don't want to lose their very rare tank they can't easily produce, and they don't have to. They will be receiving Modern Leopard 2 and Challenger 2 tanks, with Abrams tanks also coming. BM Oplot is great, but it's not any better than Leopard 2A6, and two tanks would not really make much of a difference to begin with. Ukraine has always had problems producing BM Oplots. Their only deal with Thailand was plagued with constant delays and problems. In the end, they did end up delivering all of the tanks, but it took them 7 years to deliver 50 tanks. Since the delivery, the production of BM Oplots drastically slowed down, with only a few being made, where at least one was sold to the US, leaving only two remaining in Ukraine just before the Russian invasion. They also need these tanks for future sale propositions, so any interested customer can test either of the two tanks and place an order for more. At the end, while there certainly appears to be some evidence of the T-84 tanks being used in combat, their use is very limited for a valid reason. And when it comes to the BM Oplot, I doubt we will see them anywhere near the front line in this war. Simply because the tanks are too valuable for Ukraine to lose, and using them in actual combat would not have much of an impact anyway. But who knows, maybe they will bring one out in a low risk situation just to show off its combat capabilities. That would be all. If you like my content, you can consider supporting me on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.